Well, 10 seconds. Okay. Now I'm recording this.
Need for vaccines. The history on
Now I'm
vaccines
recording.
is very clear. This is the 20th century. That's how many people had vaccines and had illnesses. This is the 21st century. This
The vaccines
is
generally work,
99% down to 100%. This is what was delivered with vaccines. And you don't want to support that. You don't want to support that evidence. So yes, the governors
Measles
of
are
the
9.
West, Washington,
That's amazing.
Oregon, and California,
Morbidity,
will take up the
500,000
advocacy
people
of
dying from
science.
measles.
Yes, the University of Washington
Jesus Christ.
will deliver the science that America will depend on, because you don't want to depend on it.
Smallpox
And
is
his
real.
own Surgeon General
Rubella, mumps. I got the mumps, by the way.
administration said over 2 million lives
But,
were saved because
naturally.
of mRNA technology, and you don't want to continue that. You don't want to continue that technology. So what country is going to now take up that technology lead? What country is going to do that? Leaving us more vulnerable to some other country, keeping the advantage on having the best technology. So I'm telling you, I represent a state that's about technology. I have two other quick questions for you.
Are these questions or statements? Because I can answer that question if it's actually a question.
Do you believe in having the ACA and
That is not what I wanted to do.
From Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on the Trump administration's healthcare agenda. He answered questions from senators on the recent firing of CDC
Why they
Director
Google one
Susan
more?
Perez and his proposed new members to the agency's vaccine advisory board. The Senate Finance Committee hearing is just under 3 hours.
Oh, what's it?
Gold standard.
Hold on 1 second.
Tom Cotton is who wanted to expert politically very precise. It's over to
science?
the service email the service never eliminate
What's that again?
Vaccines
There
is
you go.
very clear. Administration said
Sorry.
over 2 million lives
I actually closed the window.
because the mRNA technology, and you don't want to continue that. You don't want to continue that technology. So what country is going to now take up that technology lead? What country is going to do that? Leaving us more vulnerable to some other country, keeping the advantage on having
The question
best
is,
technology. So I'm telling you, I represent a
Senator Campbell, why does the United States government need to fund this if it's actually the best technology, right? I got a question for you.
having the ACA.
As Secretary Kennedy is asking the question, why does the United States government need to fund it if it's so valuable and profitable? The question that you have to ask inside your soul, why does the United States government need to fund this if it's so profitable, right? That is, and it's so,
We're the ones who delivered it. So I'm just asking you, do you want to do something about this?
because how much, you do know how much they charge per mRNA vaccine, right? The actual charge that the U.S. government subsidized. So the profit windfall for the pharmaceutical companies after the mRNA vaccines, they shouldn't need. Why?
Do you think they were perpetrating a hoax yesterday?
Why does the United States government need to fund it? That is an interesting question. As a woman that's smelling it, if it's so profitable and it's so good, then the private company should be.
Should be made public. That's the first you're hearing about it.
I don't know.
You were perpetrating hoaxes. You, as
Ask the question yourself, right? Why does the United States government need to fund it if it is so great?
But you're not putting solutions on the table to cover more Americans, and you're taking away the science and technology that has made us the leader, that has saved, according to the first Trump administration Surgeon General,
Not secretary.
millions of lives. And you don't want to
And it's
keep that going. So no, I don't
that is like a red herring or something, because those vaccines are different vaccines than the vaccine
need to rally around science.
that Secretary Kennedy is talking about.
Continue to lead on all innovation.
Those were protein particle vaccines or HB inactivated vaccines, attenuated vaccines. They're different vaccine technology than the one that we're talking about. And let me answer me this question, right? If it is so damn good, why does the United States government need to fund it? Why? If it's so profitable, it's going to be so great, why does the private company fund it themselves? Why does the U.S. government need to fund it? That is an interesting question. I mean, ask yourself in your souls, what is the question? Why? Why does the United States government need to spend $500 million to make some pharmaceutical company make a vaccine that they say is so damn profitable and good for? I mean, we're not talking about a vaccine for like poor African people that nobody. Maybe if it's malaria, right? Malaria vaccine, because nobody in America will pay for malaria. So if we research malaria vaccine, mRNA, I can totally see why we need U.S. funding for the malaria vaccine. mRNA malaria vaccine, the government needs to fund it because nobody will ever pay for it in America, right? So the U.S. government needs to fund malaria mRNA vaccine, but not something that's for Americans. I mean, that we don't need to fund that. I mean, what the fuck we need to fund it? Well, after we had the vaccine, we should have started to start getting. Yeah, I know, right? I know. 1.2 million, give or take. I mean, you can. ChatGPT, how many Americans died from COVID? I know. How many Americans from COVID? According to their website, I mean, part of the reason we don't have data is we stopped counting how many people died from data. They stopped caring and stuff. There you go. Go CDC there. Why is that so? 1.2 million died of COVID. So actually, generates at least 16% of the official country number. Wait, what? Well, what does that mean? What the hell? Should be 1.2. I mean, 1.2 million. Americans 1.2 million. I mean. Well, this is why the news reported was rough. The news reported that it was rough. That's why I'm turning it. It was rough, giving them backup. Really? Well, that sucks.
They are looking for where those folks are going to go. I mean, you're supposed to be doing healthcare policy, not being the doctor in residence for all of America.
I thought this meeting was about the CDC director and why she was getting fired.
And obviously, Tom Cotton's going to.
I mean, she's not leaving because.
Let me go back to policy.
I told her she was going to get fired, didn't I? I mean, I literally just watched it like an hour ago. That's the only reason why she's getting fired, by the way. Literally, she's probably fine. The only reason she's getting fired is because I told her she was getting fired. I mean, she has to, I mean, Secretary Kennedy would probably talk to President Trump about reversing the firing, basically, Because the only reason I think we had to fire her is because I just attended her thing and I told her she was getting fired. Now maybe we don't have to fire her now. So, I mean, sorry if I like to interrupt, Secretary. Maybe we won't have to fire her because so we reversed that firing just because it's a paradox, It's literally a paradox, Yeah, it's a paradox. I mean, there's no reason to fire her basically other than to get my attention. Because I have to attend this because of this controversy, so it's absolute paradox. The only thing that this controversy exists at all is just to get me to pay attention to this for some reason. For some reason, God wants me to pay attention to this. I don't know why. Anyway, I'm recording this now because I finished deleting everything. I have 16 posts on my Instagram is, I mean, I archived everything. It's still archived, so I didn't delete them. I archived it. I have 16 posts on my Instagram now.
Who said he doesn't know how many people died from COVID.
Wait, is it really?
The vaccine saved lives.
Well, technically, the question is, well, the thing is, 1.2 million officially died from COVID. We don't actually know. That is actually true, right? If you think about it real hard, we don't actually know how many people died from COVID in the United States or worldwide. For sure, we don't have a very statistically. We don't know. We absolutely have no idea how many in the world died from COVID. We don't know how many people in America died from COVID. For real, we have an official count that's biased by people who got tested positive and people who died from after testing positive, right? So, how many people died from COVID? We don't know for sure. We do not know for sure. And that is absolutely true statement. We do not have the data for knowing exactly how many people died from COVID. That is actually truth, absolute truth. Because we couldn't test everybody that got COVID. So some people die from COVID without getting tested positive, and then we will never get those numbers in. So, and what Secretary Kennedy said is absolutely true. I don't know. Scientifically, absolutely true because we couldn't find out. We can do statistical math and estimate. Seriously, I mean, why? I'm pretty sure I mentioned it before. With in the first. If MRI testing is so good, what did we cancel? mRNA vaccine programs did we cancel? Emory University and Table Biotech descoping announcement. Okay, so what did they actually cancel? I mean, I will be able to. I'll bet you I will understand. If you actually cancel, I'll bet you there's actually a good reason for this. What did you actually cancel?
We've met with the BBMs, and we are
Descoping of university related insisting on luminary aspects.
in MFN talks with the pharmaceutical companies who are also very interested in
what did we actually cancel? I mean,
reducing the cut and getting transparency among the PBMs. And the PBMs have committed to us to transparency, to some protocol that will guarantee transparency. And then the part of the MFN negotiation.
22 project worth 500 million. Okay.
Direct to consumer market.
Let me ask ChatGPT. What did we cancel again?
So I think we're doing a lot of PBMs.
Oh, was it what? 22 projects with mRNA vaccines. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT. We're actually canceled. Mifepristone, that is me. mRNA vaccine from Moderna. Okay. Okay. Yeah, details. I was thinking. What okay? And give me details about which virus or disease each mRNA vaccine was targeting.
We're getting data in all the time, new data. We're reviewing, and we know that during the Biden administration,
there's a bird flu one, okay.
Twisted the data.
COVID-19 dry powder inhalable. Inhalable nose.
So we're going to make sure that doesn't happen anymore. We're producing on it.
Nose mRNA vaccine.
Science on that. I'll keep you abreast of where we are.
Influenza for mRNA interference.
That requires Title X family planning programs recipients to physically and financially separate from abortion activities, their Title X activities, and eliminate them promoting or providing abortion with those funds.
that was flipped from the original Trump rule that was done on the first presidency. During your confirmation, you had committed to go back and look at that again and to be able to see.
It's all influenza and MRSA
action
thing.
for when that rule on Title 10 and the separation payments rule will be either reviewed or will actually be reinstated to the original Trump rule under his first presidency.
I don't know if they're I just don't think the answer to your question what they're actually
Wow.
right now. I can tell you
Why
that
the fuck would you
the entry
transamplifying RNA non-citizenship? This one is actually an interesting one.
Streams that separate their operations
Transamplifying,
are not
wow.
getting funded.
Okay, well that was an issue under the law.
Wow, what the hell were they thinking? Transamplifying mRNA.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, I know why they actually cancel all day.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And
What the
good
fuck?
morning, Secretary Kennedy. Just before
I just know why you
did
cancel. I
wanna note
mean,
in
what the
response
fuck are they
to
doing
Secretary's,
with this shit?
statement that the
You talk to, you talk to-
wants lower the
talk to-
cost of health insurance, that across the
That's gotta be like a real actual doctor saying, why the fuck are we spending $500 million on this shit?
Just as families are struggling to make ends meet. Now, I want to follow up on the line of questioning that Senator Cassidy began. Mr. Secretary, President Trump said that the COVID-19
The difficulty of making
vaccine
answers.
by Operation Warp Speed was, and these are the president's words, a monumental national achievement. Although I have been strongly
Difficulty
opposed to
N5N1
President
vaccine
Trump's
from chicken eggs.
that Operation Warp Speed in 2020 was a monumental achievement. Unfortunately,
Because when you have an avian flu and you try to make it out of avian flu that kills the egg, it kills the chicken egg.
saved millions of American lives. You even went as far as to call President Trump weak for this life-saving accomplishment. Last year, you tweeted that President Trump has a weakness for swamp creatures, and that Operation Warp Speed was among, here's your quote again, the most devastating impact of President Trump's weakness. So, Mr. Secretary, was Operation Warp Speed a monumental national achievement? as
CUV and
President Trump
chicken eggs
said?
fertilization going number 20%.
I assume you won't let me repeat, but I'm happy to if you don't mind. Yes, it was.
Good. Assuming it is a monumental achievement,
Cell-based and mRNA vaccine
is it
for
true that, as President Trump has said, he saved
H5N5.
millions of American lives with the COVID-19 vaccine? Because you've just expressed great confusion about that to Senator Warner.
The only confusion I
You
experienced
probably
is
did,
exactly how many lives were saved. I don't think anybody knows that because
Yeah.
the data came out.
There is no way to know how many.
That the vaccine reduced infections and severe diseases and saved at least 3 million lives in the United States and millions more abroad in the first 2 years of the pandemic.
As well as the those are modeling studies that
That is not something we can ever find out. I mean,
Data and concern about it. The process for COVID vaccine approval was public, it was live streamed, and it was out in the open. Manufacturers and experts have publicly submitted data analysis, and when the FDA is asked for
if it
more,
saves 3 million lives, then that means
they've done that for years, and the
Oh,
evidence
fuck.
is clear and supports what President Trump has said. The vaccine works, and it has saved millions of lives. Your
the
own
formula.
process, on the other hand, has not
4
been
divided by
repeatedly choose to
111
ignore
is
data
7.
because it doesn't
Multiply
match
by
consensus,
1,
notions, and lies.
1,
So
2, 3,
you have said
1, 2,
that the
3. That's 8
vaccine
million.
did save lives. You've said it was a
That's
monumental achievement. And given
1,
that,
2, 3.
if you agree with President
Holy
Trump
shit,
that the vaccine
one-
saved millions of lives,
Holy
why
fuck.
have you acted behind closed doors to
That's
overrule
288
scientists
million
and limit the freedom of
lives.
parents to choose
If we didn't have the
for
vaccine.
their children?
That's
Why
like
don't
288 million lives globally if we didn't have the vaccine.
I
And
was
if they say it's 4 million lives, I mean, holy cow. If we had no vaccine the whole time, you know.
Scientists who said they wanted to brief you on the science, scientists who wanted to understand why the FDA, why you unilaterally changed the parameters for
Oh
giving
my god, I
vaccines,
mean,
making it possible now, to Senator Cassidy's colleagues' points, that they're going to have to go off-label
This is crazy
to
times. You guys are making stuff up.
prescribe the vaccine for children. I'm not making things up. Do you know how the FDA approval process works and what
Yeah,
happens
I know
when
exactly.
what an off? Do you know what an off-label
behind closed doors. The industry makes the studies, and they could not provide a study that said that it is effective for healthy kids.
When have you produced the data that you relied on, and that this
That might actually be true.
Change those parameters. You did it behind closed doors.
Yeah, because if children weren't really, I think you might be true
I'm not
for children, right?
You know, sometimes when you make an accusation, it's kind of a confession, Mr. Kennedy. So let's just.
I mean, during the pandemic, children were not dying as badly as.
To people who want to get
So,
the COVID vaccine this fall, even if they're under
We didn't
65,
even get data for long COVID for
people
children. I
with
mean,
much less serious disease, people do not have the same level of threat and risk from COVID that they used to because of these vaccines. People who want
I mean,
to
we
exercise their freedom of
there were
choice,
some the. I
because
mean, I was talking to Dr. Akiko Iwazaki. We did not get data on long COVID for children. Because the CDC, yeah, I mean, the CDC should have gotten long COVID.
I do not think I'm the one making
Yeah, because there's long COVID. I mean, the post-COVID syndrome data that we did not get from children that we neglected, and then somebody did not bother to do the science. I mean, I literally was just talking to Dr. Akiko Iwazaki with the president a few days ago. We don't have data on children, on long COVID for children, post-COVID syndrome for children. We don't actually know what the effect of the virus is in children. We don't know what the effect of the vaccine in children is, and nobody bothered to do the study. And I think Secretary Kennedy might be right. We actually have to ask the pharmaceutical after they made such great profit from the COVID to actually start doing the studies, to fund the studies themselves. We have to fund the actual studies in these boosters to do a full vaccine for children, especially for adults, and see what the benefit of the vaccinating children is to this. I mean, we need the data. We need the scientific data, and no more cheating. I know they do. I think vaccines work too. We need to get data.
The public has seen measles outbreaks, leadership in the National Institute of Health questioning the use of mRNA vaccines, the recently confirmed director of Centers for Disease Control and Prevention fired. Americans don't know who to rely on. Recent polls said 89% of voters, 81% of Trump voters agree.
Oh, this is gonna be bad. If we actually do the study and then we actually find out mRNA do have risks, and then we didn't find the risks, and we learned them, and then
Senator Marshall, Senator
the trust in the government will be absolutely atrocious.
We can't allow public health to be undermined.
Yeah.
Could you explain what's
If we actually do the study and we actually find that science says mRNA does have some sort of risk, and we didn't tell them, and then we tell them later, and then I know. Secretary, I mean, we have an issue. Yeah.
Today's children have to get between 69 and 92 vaccines in order to be fully compliant between maternity and 18 years.
Jesus Christ.
Only one of those 19 vaccines, 92 doses, only one of those vaccines that have been tested against an placebo. And what we're doing now is any new vaccine that before it's approved and licensed will have to demonstrate safety against the placebo. We're going to go back.
I think that's actually a wise thing to do.
On the existing vaccines to see if they're linked to any of these chronic disease epidemics so that people can understand the risk profile of those products.
I think what Secretary Kennedy says is actually true. I mean, I have to say what Secretary Kennedy just said is actual science. That is actual science. I mean, if you're a scientist, you would say that what he just said is actual science. Every single vaccine, do an actual trial and do the actual science and verify that it's actually true. With modern science, with actual scientists and doctors doing it, every single vaccine, if they want to do it, Because if it's true, if they are safe, you should be able to demonstrate that it's safe scientifically. Because science does not change. It was safe 20 years ago, it should be safe now. And I mean, I have to say that Secretary Kennedy, what he's saying is absolutely true. Because seriously, I mean, if all these vaccines are actually safe, they should be still safe in the future. If they were safe 20 years ago, they should be safe now. They should be able to demonstrate the science that it's safe. And I mean, we could still have the recommendation to vaccinate them, and still do the trials and say we're going to do a actual scientific trial again and redo the science. Yeah, and voluntary, right? Voluntary. Yeah, exactly. Voluntary. I mean, parents them say, "Do you want to participate in the study?" And yeah, and then the parents could decide if they want to participate in this. Instead of saying, "Oh, this thing is absolutely safe. We've been doing it for years. It's absolutely safe," and then there's nothing wrong with it. That's actually, I have to say, Secretary Kennedy's science probably the right one. Because science means it's science, especially it's the same thing with temporal science. I mean, it's a risky thing, right? Altering the timeline is very risky, and then we should still test it. You know, the government should still do it, but with something small, you know, nothing big. And testing it, because my Amazon warehouse tested me. They found the answer already, but science is science. And
Mifepristone was approved in 2000.
I think Secretary.
The FDA has steadily stripped away.
I need to go to sleep though. I will
related
watch
to
it.
this drug. No
Science
longer
is science, you know.
a doctor's prescription.
Yelling will not make
No
science.
follow-up
Right?
visits. No adverse event reporting. And now allowing it to be sent through the mail. Earlier this year, there was a new study that analyzed 865,000 real-world insurance claims, and it found that nearly 11% of women experienced a serious adverse event within 45 days of taking mifepristone.
Whoopsie daisy.
To put that in perspective, that is 22 times higher than the FDA's long-standing estimate of less than 0.5%. While these findings alone are shocking, my conversations with those in the medical profession, credible medical professionals, lead me to believe that even this study may indeed underrepresent the scale of the problem. For years we've heard,
And you might need another drug that's much
misleading
safer.
and frankly very harmful lie that's being sold to women that this drug is, and I quote, safe as Tylenol. These lies sadly have real-world consequences. Just last year, 2 women died as a result of taking chemical abortion pills because they were able to access them without appropriate medical oversight. And by the way, that's all allowed by the FDA.
Well, that's kind of problematic because
Secretary, I am grateful that
we
you
don't have the ability to let
and
doctors
FDA
monitor them.
Commissioner
We probably should.
Kerry have
In
already
states that
started the
do not
process of
allow it,
reviewing
and people.
data on the safety of the
I mean that's probably because a lot of states don't allow these things, so they don't have doctors to, and that's the problem.
Updates on the status and the scope of that review, and whether the FDA intends to replicate studies like the one that I
I
referenced.
mean, if we're gonna allow it, we better let doctors protect women while they're taking these things, you know.
That's one way to do it. I don't know exactly whether they're doing epidemiological
Yeah.
studies or observational studies. I don't know.
Yeah,
exactly
safety
what
studies,
doing, but
they're
I
probably
know
not.
I talked to Marty Curie yesterday, and he said those studies are progressing and that they're ongoing. So I will keep your office.
Because you basically, you know, how you have a baby fetus. I mean, I see a statue, and then you remove the baby, it's constantly bleeding, and
Gary, and
It could bleed to death. I really think that's the problem. I think the problem is people bleeding to death. I mean, women bleeding to death from the abortion.
We had a really good conversation, and I want to encourage those conversations with you.
Especially if women try to take the drug way past the recommended date, right? Senator Steve Daines. Because if they think that it's okay to take it, well, it's past that date, and then you might actually try to abort a baby that's too late, and then that's probably the most likely cause.
Emergency measures.
Too late, taking the drug too late, and then
COVID-era telemedicine allowance. Given that we're repealing these COVID-era regulations, emergency measures, would you repeal the COVID-era telemedicine allowance for chemical abortion drugs and restore the requirement for an in-person doctor visit?
That may not.
I'll get back to you on that. I don't know if the White House has yet taken a position on that. We will get back to you this week.
Ultrasound. I think that's what was ultrasound, because you would need an ultrasound to see how old the fetus is. If you take the pill when it's too late, I guarantee you I know why that pill is. Because the fetus is too far along, there's too much of a placenta, and then you try to remove too much placenta with that drug, and that's probably the most likely cause of complications. So just hypothesis. If in-person will require ultrasound, but that's the problem in states that do not allow abortion at all. Well, that is a thing that Republicans and Democrats need to talk, right? You definitely need to say, if you want to protect chemical abortion, even in Republican states, and to require the thing, and then that is something that the Republican senators and Democrats need to talk about. I know, right? Because if you want to protect chemical abortions nationally, then the Republican Party would have to, in exchange for having some ultrasound, and then, because seriously, you do not want to try to have a chemical abortion when your fetus is too late, because definitely could kill you. Anyway.
So that's just one instance of corruption and lies told by the CDC. We've got a lot of others that will be rolling out. Okay, so we held our first hearing in front of the subcommittee investigation on that hiding of the signal myocarditis. We've heard a lot of studies. Okay, as I've looked into science, it's been thoroughly corrupt. Here's data, and I'd like to enter this sheet into the record. And I've been publishing this chart for, since really early 2021.
Adverse events.
I'm on, for example, talk radio shows.
Yeah, so there wasn't making that shit up. I mean, even the doctor, so it's absolutely true.
Here's the facts.
So that is true then. Yeah, there are some.
The Vader system that was touted in October of 2020 is great safety surveillance.
That's what I thought, because that's what I read in the scientific papers,
A few months later, when they didn't like the results, they started denigrating their own
Anyway,
system.
this is part one, and part one only has about 4. This is the last part of part one, so probably bad enough. Then I'll watch the second part.
Worldwide associated with COVID vaccine, 38,742, 9,252 of those deaths occurred on the day of vaccination within 1 or 2 days.
Shit.
Again, I agree with you. Nobody knows how many COVID deaths were because the information was completely corrupted. Nobody knows how many lives were saved. I think most
Probably more lives saved than more lives lost. Yeah, more lives saved than more lives lost. Yeah, I think true.
there's not any good study on that. There's just information out there, just claims being made. This is hard evidence.
From CDC.
And certainly what I've been
Oh, man.
for are the injection injured, the childhood vaccine injured.
Adverse events and
We're
deaths.
holding a hearing next Tuesday on a study done by a high integrity healthcare facility that shows
Well, Senator Johnson,
6% unvaccinated, very high quality study.
if the adverse events are just because of poor injection technique, then then we need to figure it out. I mean, if it's just injecting in the wrong place, because there's the MMR vaccine, I believe. You grab a piece of fat. I got it so recently. I think I'm pretty sure the MMR vaccine. Right? MMR vaccine. I remember because my titer was low for MMR, so I got an MMR booster. You grab a piece of fat and you inject it in the fat in your thigh. So in your thigh, MMR vaccine is in your thigh. I mean, you grab a piece of fat and then you inject it in the thing. If it's just as simple as that. Yeah.
Health agencies being captured by pharmaceutical industries, by big pharma, by big food. Just I want to give you. I'm sorry.
I mean, I think that is absolutely something we should test. Just injection technique. Injection technique for the COVID-19 vaccine. Just grab a piece of fat and your thigh, inject the vaccine instead of going into your arm straight. And grab a piece of fat in your thigh, and then if you don't have fat, then you're really thin lady. Whatever. Grab like fat and then inject into fat in your thigh or something, and then instead of injecting your arm, and see if that makes a difference in adverse effects. And if it actually does, then we fucked up so badly. And I can't even tell President Trump in the past to fix it if I didn't know that. I mean,
who got the vaccine on time had a 260% greater chance of getting an autism diagnosis than children who waited. The chief scientist on
Are you sure? What
the senior said vaccine safety science at CDC.
Well, the CDC is going to do it
To come into a room with 4 other co-authors by his boss, Frank DeStefano, who's the head of the immunization safety program, and ordered to destroy that data. And then they published it without that fact. So you know that story, I know that story,
And is it true, right? I mean, if the data is true, then we should be able to repeat it. Well, Secretary, if that story is true, we should be able to repeat the data and get the real data in the present, not from a story. If it's science, then we should be able to repeat it, and then we should be able to get the science. So, oh, you just science is science. If it's real, we should be able to repeat the study in the future and find the truth. Well, seriously, you should be able to repeat it. That is the definition of science. You should be able to repeat it. So if it's actually true, we should be able to repeat it. I am going to bed too. Going to part 2.